Welcome to Nevertheless Podcast with Mark-Mordi, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you would learn how to discover your essence and live more powerfully.
Hi, this is Mark-Mordi, and it is the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Last week, we started to talk about curating a winning year, and we looked at the knowledge bucket. The idea is, in this month, is that we want to take a look at ourselves and say, what do I need to do? Not what does anybody else need to do for me or give me. What is it that I need to do so that I would be able to curate a year in which I'm sure that I'm winning? So we looked at the knowledge bucket last week. We said that we need to make decisions that consistently fill our knowledge bucket. We want to make sure that the decisions we make add to our capacity to know more. I told us that knowledge is not just about books, that for as people of faith, we should always begin in curating or in determining what our knowledge bucket will look like, that we should always begin with looking at the word that God is giving us. Let that word be what forms the direction for where you want to go in 2025. And then let that word become the anchor. It's the knowledge of what God has said to you. Let it be the anchor through which or with which you begin to curate this winning year that we're talking about. I told you that there are 5 buckets that you need to fill. Today, we're going to be looking at the skill bucket. We want to look at what it means to know what you can do. That's your skill, because skill is about what you know how to do. You cannot have a winning year unless you know what you can do. Because, people will not pay you for not contributing. To be able to contribute, you want to be sure that you know what you can do. Now, there are many things that I can do. And in the middle of this conversation, one of the things that I've learned is that I cannot be a jack of all trades and master of none. So if I know how to do 15 things, I need to sit down and say to myself, do I need to know how to do all 15 things? Or do I need to do all 15 things to win in my year? I've found that is not necessarily so. So I now need to sit down and look at the pool of the things that I know how to do and determine what is selling in 2025. What sells in 2025? There was a time that, going from house to house to wash for people was a big deal. So if you know how to wash, but in 2025, there are all kinds of washing machines. There are all kinds of washing machines. There are washing machines that are not powered by electricity. So people no longer need someone to come and wash for them. So if what you want to win by in 2025 is the skill to wash clothes, there are many people that will not take you on. That has become a skill that is a bit obsolete. You can upgrade it, but it will be obsolete if all you know how to do is wash with your hands. That's why I'm saying that just because you know how to do 15 things does not mean that those 15 things will empower you to win in 2025. The point I'm making is that you need to streamline. And the questions that I'm asking myself in streamlining is, what still sells? Who needs my help? Who can I help in this season? What solutions can I bring? And if I know how to bring 10 solutions, which of them are relevant in the first quarter? Which of them are relevant in the first quarter? We have a course, a learning platform where people come and buy courses, self-pace themselves. But we have already, by benefit of experience over the years, we know the courses that sell at the beginning of the year. So you will not find me selling a masterclass on how to hear God in the beginning of the year. Instead, I will sell a masterclass on how to effectively win inside whatever room you find yourself in. Does that make sense? So the skills, you may have a ton of skills. You need to determine which skill works for me in this season. Which skill is required by those that I serve in this season. One of the things that we sell at the end of the year is we sell our DNA of Purpose course. The DNA of Purpose course helps people prepare to discern, discover, and distill and deploy their God-given capacities and abilities. And we begin to market it in September. So, no, through October, and then we start the classes November through December, because those people who have lived their entire year to that point, and they are now in their own heads, and they're saying, I did nothing with this year. I did many things. None of them feel like it was what I was supposed to be doing. They're the ones that buy that course at the end of the year. So you need to know what is not just, I know I have this skill, I have that skill. It is which of these skills we sell in the course of my year. And then because of that, do a schedule and a calendar and say, oh, in the summer, I probably would be able to sell my coaching services for children because they're on break. Their parents want to prepare them for the next class. So it's an understanding of what your skills offer others. And based on that, do these buckets or blocks of, this time, this is what I might be put out. This time, this is what I must put out. Because what I've found is that, or what I've found out in my own case, is that not every stream of my business sells every time. So you need to check your skill bucket, or you need to put a bucket down, begin to look through your skills. Which of them are obsolete? Remember, I said you either upgrade them or you jettison them, because if they're not working, they're not working. If they're working, then you upgrade them. Update them so that you can catch up with the times. But if they're not working, then you feel free to step away from them so that you can begin to learn new things. A rule of thumb is also to make sure that every year you add new skills. Every year you add new skills to what you used to know, or what you used to know how to do. Take a look at your skill list, your skill bucket, and say to yourself, what do I need to do to make my skill bucket one that sells? What is it? Because it's your bag of tricks. I hope you know that. Your skill bucket is your bag of tricks. If you deal with it properly, every step of the way, you'll be able to find things to pull out that will be useful. Whether you just want to solve problems for people, or you want to be able to earn, or you want to be able to be enhanced in what you do, what can you do, or what do you know how to do? Because if you know what you know how to do, then you will sit and be able to say, if for instance you go for a job interview, I just hired a housekeeper and she came solely as a housekeeper, but we've quickly found out that she's a value add because she can cook. In one person, I now have both housekeeper and a chef to a certain extent. That's a value add. You know that, right? It's a value add. I'm not even waiting for her, because I had that conversation with my husband this morning. I'm not waiting for her to come and say to me, oh, I have added this particular skill or service to what I'm offering. By myself, I'm saying, oh, I need to take a look at what we agreed as her pay so that I can review, because I know that now she's serving me with an additional skill that was not part of the conversation we had at the point of hiring. That single thing should help you see why you need to know what you can do. Again, when you know what you can do, when you show up in places where solutions are required and there are gaps, you can easily step in. A lot of us don't show up in places looking for how to help people, looking for the gaps that are there, that are in those places, so that we can feel it or we can feel them. But when you know what you can do, when you show up and you see the gaps that your skills are able to fill, you automatically make yourself valuable beyond what the people in the environment thought about you before you stepped into the room. And sometimes even just thinking about skill, you will be given stuff to do that you don't have all of the skill for. Rather than walk away from it because you are in a year that you want to win, that's the time to look around you to say, who knows Who has this skill as well? And who can give me a crash course on how to get better at this thing? What have we been reviewing, or what are we focusing on? Our focus this month is on how you become the best you so that you can make the best decisions to have a year where you win. Last week, we looked at the knowledge. What knowledge do you have? Do you know what is required? Do you know what you need? This week, we are looking at skill. What can you do? You cannot win sitting on your hands. You must know what to do. And it's okay if you find that you don't have marketable skills in the moment. Then at least you know now that you need to go and learn them. Because if you learn them, you may not exactly win 100% this year with them. But next year, it will be your year, because then you would walk into the next year as the Lord grants us life, ready to unleash what it is that you know that you now can do. So whether you have skills, or you need to learn skills, or you need to master skills, all of us need to take a review our skill bucket. What is there that is obsolete? What is there that I need to upgrade and update? And what can I use to serve in different other places where I couldn't serve in the previous year? When we come back, I'll show you 5 strategies on how to be able to ensure that you win by your skill bucket. Please don't go away. God bless you.
Are you seeking to clarify your purpose and profit from it? Then get into Purpose University this year. It's a 10-week e-course for people of faith who seek to clarify their purpose and profit from it. The DNA of purpose has been put together to help you understand what purpose is about, and also help you discover what your journey of purpose looks like. Register today at yourpurposeu.org, where Bidemi Mark-Mordi would hold your hands so you can discover your purpose and live a more powerful life. In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, Nevertheless. Nevertheless is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of Nevertheless and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby, or call 080-905-63555, or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it. Nevertheless.
Welcome back. It's still the Nevertheless show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Before we went on the break, we were looking at the bucket of skill in curating a winning year or a winning 2025. You need to know what you know how to do, because you're not just going to show up and say, I can do anything. Nobody is able to do anything. You know how people show up and you say, oh, what can you do? Say, I'm looking for a job. Say, what kind of job? You say, any job. Any job is not a job. So you need to know what it is that you know to do. Any skill. You can't say, I want to run a business. And they say to you, what kind of business? You say, any business. Any business is no business. You must be able to say, I know how to do X, Y, Z. So if I started a business in that line, I'll be able to excel and win in my 2025. Before we went on a break, I said that when we come back, I'll share with you strategies by which you were able to up-level or upgrade yourself in your skills so that you have a winning year. And we always begin by begin with the end in sight. Set goals. Set goals. Now, I know that when we talk about goals, we talk about SMART. That is, they have to be specific, they have to be measurable, they have to be achievable, they have to be relevant, and they have to be time bound. I always add an ER, so set smarter goals. So your skills must not just be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. They must be goals that you are enthusiastic about, and goals that you can tell will reward you. If you have this five, no, these are seven. If you have this, your goal matches this several steps template, then the likelihood is that you'll be able to up level yourself or upgrade yourself in your skills so that you are able to have a winning year. The thing that I have found out is that there's absolutely nothing you want to do that does not require skills. If you want to get married, you need to have skills. In case you did not know that, well, this is me breaking it to you. If you want to have a great family, you require great, excellent communication skills, for instance. If you want to be a good parent, you need the basic skill of being able to lead your family or lead your children right. Yes? There's nothing, absolutely nothing. It's not only when you want to drive a car, if you want to marry, you need to sit down and ask yourself, why haven't I been married? If I even got married now, what exactly do I bring to the table? It's part of what you know, or of what you can do. It's part of your skill. So set your goals. It's not enough to say, I want to make 5 million naira every month. If you want to make 5 million naira every month, what do you know that can help you make 5 million naira every month? I want my husband to come home on time every day. And at the weekends, I want him to spend time at home, spend all his time at home. So what is it that you need to do to make the home a haven for him to stay? And vice versa. I want my wife to be just be pleasant throughout every time I come home. Then you need to step back and say, what skills do I require as a husband that will make my wife become pleasant to me every weekend we're home together? These are all skills. The point I'm making is that you don't just need skills when you want to take a blue collar job. You don't just need skills when you want to take a white collar job. You need skills even in your interpersonal relationships if you want to move forward. So set goals. So, I see it all the time on social media. I say, marriage goals, so set your goals. Just make sure that they are smart, they are measurable. Smart means that they are specific rather. They are specific, which means that they are not ambiguous to you. And they are measurable. It means that you can tell, you'll be able to say when you have made progress. They are achievable. If you are a plumber, don't automatically say, by the end of March, I'll become an engineer. That's not the way it works, yes? Because becoming an engineer requires a long-term education and certification before you can become an engineer, yes? But you can say, okay, I'm a plumber at this level. I want to upgrade myself in the use of this and in the use of that. So make sure that they are achievable goals. Make sure they are smart, they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable. And then make sure they're realistic. They are realistic. If you say to yourself, oh, I want to make more money in 2025, or I want to become someone who invests, I want to invest more in 2025, you may need to go and take short courses on investing. Or you may need to attend workshops because banks are offering those kinds of workshops for free, like practically every month. You want to shop around and make sure that you understand the basics of investment so that you know that within your capacity, what kind of investments you'll be able to do that will bring you the results that you need. So make them realistic. Then make them time bound. You don't just set goals and leave them open-ended. So say to yourself, my goals would be this and that and that. This is my start date and this is my end date. So set smarter goals. Make sure you are enthusiastic about it. Whatever you're not excited about, you are not likely to deliver on. So make sure that you are excited about your goals and then make sure that they are rewarding. Think about your short-term reward and your long-term reward and determine that you will follow through on them. The second thing you want to do in making sure that you fill your skill bucket is that you need to ensure that the goals that you set are written down somewhere. A lot of us set goals in our head. No wonder we do not follow them through. Make sure that they are written down. Document your goals. Documenting your goals helps to clarify your intentions and your expectations, because there is an expectation that is built into every goal. This process will allow you to be able to evaluate how practical your goals are, or whether you need to make some adjustments along the way. Number 3, assess your resources and the obstacles that are before you. Do you have the resources to follow through on the goals that you have set? And if you have those resources, what are the obstacles that you may encounter? This is that envisioning before you get into the playing field. And I know it's February. Someone will say, oh, I should have done this in December. I should have done this in January. You see, don't forget that I always say that whenever you wake up, it's good morning. So even though it's February, it's better for you to do this in February than to find yourself in November and you did not do it. Yes? So make sure that you assess your resources and the obstacles that may be ahead of you. Then you must break your goals into smaller milestones. You know, those days, many years ago, I attended a 3-day conference with Michael Hyatt. It was called a platform conference at that time. And oh my God, he was the one that taught me how to set goals and break them down to bites. So for instance, he would say, if you want to save, how many of us know that if we want to save 500,000 a month, so 500,000 a year, all you need to do is break it to 40-something thousand monthly. If you want to save 500,000 a year, you just say, I want to save let's say 45,000 every month. But you see, the reason why you should break them into smaller milestones is because 500,000 can feel so overwhelming for many of us. But 45,000, not that much. So if you want to save 500,000, in breaking them into smaller milestones, what it is that you're saying is, I want to save 45,000 thereabout every month. You'll find that it is more realistic, it is more achievable, and you can measure. So make sure you break it into smaller milestones. Set your goals and make sure that they are in smaller milestones. Then number 5, be flexible. Be flexible. I remember that year, it must have been in 2012 or 2013. I set a certain number of goals. Oh, I didn't say make your goals few, right? Make sure your goals are few. There's no sense in setting 10 goals and you end up not following through on 2. It's best for you to set 5 goals and make sure that at the end of the day, you do 4 of them at least. But the point that I really want to make, this is my 5th point, stay flexible when you set your goals. You know, a lot of people set their goals with rigidity. They say, oh, I want to get a job in XYZ kind of place. And then every other job that comes, XYZ hasn't come. They turn it down. 1 year passes, the 2nd year, the 3rd year passes. And you are not where you thought you would be, and you have not grown in skill or experience over time. Sometimes we step back so that when we step forward, we can conquer. So when you are setting your goals, be flexible. In that year, in 2013, I had one of the goals that I set was I was going to own a printing press. Because we're in the publishing business, I thought to myself, I want a printing press. But I had created an avatar of the kind of client I wanted. And then, of course, so that we can do our books as well. So we started to shop for printing press machines. We started to ask questions. After setting the goal and I got into the market and started to ask questions, I spoke to people who run printing presses. I found out that, number 1, I didn't want the odd 30,000 naira, 50,000 naira client walking through my gates. My office was in a certain kind of neighborhood that kind of influx of people back and forth was not going to be good for my business. So now I realized that, and then you cannot have big projects all of the time. So the idea is you should be able to take smaller projects. But because of where my office was situated, smaller projects, that you just walk in were not an option for me. So I said to myself, okay, now that I'm reviewing, I'm realizing that to be able to break even or break through, when with the kind of clients I wanted, I needed XYZ number of clients, which meant that I needed XYZ number of marketers. And those were not they were not investments I was willing to make in that time. As I continued to review, I realized that it was cheaper to get a partner printing press than to own a printing press of my own. So at the end of the day, we jettisoned that goal. It was a good goal. It just wasn't good for us. And so we jettisoned it. If I had not been flexible, I would have insisted, and I'm sure I would have regretted that idea or regretted following through. Not only was the capital outlay a lot to make that investment, it would have cost me a lot of trouble with my neighbors. And then on top of that, I would have been expending a lot of money in getting marketers to do all of that, salespeople and marketers in that time. So I stepped back and I decided to instead reach out to established print presses and find one that would be willing to partner with us, which would mean that when our work schedule will come to them, they would make our work schedule a priority and they would do our work according to the specifications that we gave them. We found one, and I've worked with him since that time, over 12 years now. What's the point I'm making? When you set your goals, make sure that you are flexible, because upon assessing and reassessing regularly, you may find that the goal that was relevant in the first quarter is no longer relevant or required in the second or third quarter. And feel free to quickly take it out and replace it with another goal so that you can continue to move forward. The point that I'm making is that you need skills to win in 2025. If you need skills to win in 2025, you want to make sure that you know what you can do, and then you can plug into the places where you have gaps so that you can move forward and have a year that is a winsome year. In this episode, I did share with you the need to know how to do stuff if you want to have a year that is winning. You need to know that you must have certain kinds of skills if you want to be able to move forward. When we come back next week, I'll be showing you another bucket that you must make sure you fill consistently if you want to have a great year ahead of you. Yes? So today this week we looked at your skill bucket. And I said to you, you must know what you know how to do. You must know what you need to jettison. You must know what is upgradable or updatable. And you must set goals around them so that you are able to win by your skills in 2025. Thank you so much for following me. It's the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And my name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi. It is a year in which you can be boundless, limitless, and winsome. But you have to make sure that you have the right internal conversations so that when you step out, you'll be able to achieve the things that you set your heart to achieve. I'm rooting for you, and I'll be back next week with another bucket that you need to fill for yourself first if you will succeed in 2025. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 080-90563-555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimakmordi.com. Don't forget, discovering your purpose helps you live more powerfully.